Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subject 221117.9. According to South Park, I can charge an iPad with the NPC Human Centipede. They have 6 more days of this, by the way. It's a shame really though that I don't use Crapple. In fact, I hate them and their childlike graphical user interface. Welcome everyone to the exhibition of stupid people. Today I'd like to start with Merivoni Rocha Moraes. If I've mispronounced your name, don't be surprised. I'm really bad with names. She's a 37-year-old mother from Brazil who earlier this year hit headlines after revealing that she had met the love of her life called Marcelo. Now on the face of it, meeting the love of your life isn't really headline worthy. But in the case of MRM, because I'm going to call you that instead, well, Marcelo isn't your typical love. You see, Marcelo is a rag doll, not like Rosie and Jim, no, more like the guy you stick on the bonfire. This whirlwind romance led to her getting pregnant. Now, because she didn't want to have a baby out of wedlock, she got married to Marcelo. This was attended by 250 people. No doubt 250 of them were uncomfortable by the entire situation. Soon, she in fact gave birth in only 35 minutes at home. With a doctor and nurse on site, she even live-streamed the ordeal to an audience of 200 people. While overjoyed about her arrival, MRM revealed she started to have doubts about their relationship because she is the only breadwinner and they are struggling to pay their bills. Now though, the mother of 3 and her ragdoll husband, Marcelo, are no longer sleeping in the same bed. What a shocker. It sounds very old-timey-wimey marriage. You know, 2 people in the same room but sleeping in single beds. But it's not for the reason you'd think. In fact, MRM believes that Marcelo is cheating. Dun dun dun. MRM took this betrayal and posted it on TikTok, racking up 1.6 million views and over 120,000 likes. This soap opera knows no bounds, everyone. The creativity is quite something. The problem I have is, I don't know if this is a character and a Poe, or whether it's actual truth. The lines of reality have been blurred, alright? MRM then said, I was very sad, I could barely sleep because I love my husband so much, but he denied the betrayal. No doubt that conversation was a one-way street. I found out through a friend who told me that she saw Marcelo entering a motel with another woman while I was hospitalized for 3 nights and 3 days with our son who had a virus, who's called Marcelinho. At first I thought she was lying, but then I started looking through his phone and I saw the conversations, which makes me sure he was cheating. Oh, what a time to be alive, everyone. He kept denying everything, and he says he loves me very much, as well as asking for forgiveness and crying a lot. You can tell from his face the tears were real. The argument was ugly and scared our son who was crying, so I shouted to him, do you see what you have done? I asked him who the woman was and he didn't respond. For the sake of their kids, Carol and Diego, along with Marcelinho, they have not separated. Wow, this story has everything in it, and I'm genuinely heartbroken for your... I can't maintain that. Now, I took the liberty of perusing MRM's TikTok, and I honestly don't know what I'm watching. I am very confused by all of it. That line between satire and serious. Over the years, we've heard of people marrying fence posts, the Berlin Wall, cars, quilts. So it's not hard to imagine someone marrying a rag doll and giving birth to a raggedy child. By the way, their first dance together as husband and wife, he was held up by a trolley jack. I really don't know how to respond to this because it's so, yeah. Let's move on before this cancer kills me. So next I'd like to talk about the actor Rainn Wilson. Rainn Wilson is more noteworthy for appearing in The Office, the American version, not the British version, because we do less is more and our version is still better, even though I really don't like it. NBC News put out a tweet and linked within it an article where Rainn Wilson had changed his name to protest climate change. And because we all love a play on words, Rainn Wilson has changed his name to Rainfall Heatwave Extreme Winter Wilson. Could you not fit Turbo in there as well? His name on the face of it sounds like a power metal album. Maybe I should start my own power metal group and call it Rainfall Heatwave Extreme Winter Wilson. Now, Rainn Wilson made this announcement via a Twitter video on Wednesday, and it was timed precisely to the United Nations Climate Change Conference, the COP27 in Egypt this week. What amused me about that conference, by the way, was the only thing anyone talked about was Winnie the Pooh reprimanding Justin Trudeau. Why? Because their private conversation had been leaked to Canadian journalists via government officials, and he deemed that wrong. No one's talking much about the reparations idea for less fortunate nations that have faced incredible hardship courtesy of climate change. And the fact that COP27, with many of them meeting up, was then a discussion about whether or not a missile had come from Ukraine or Russia that hit Poland. Rainn Wilson is a board member of Arctic Base Camp, and he actually changed his name via a website called Arctic Risk Name Generator, which encourages its visitors to become an Arctic name changer. I've used those name change things before for a laugh, and much like the gender chart and sexuality chart of Tumblr era, I still ended up with Burly Dieseldike. There is an important aspect to this, that when you go down the article and you go to Rainn Wilson's social media, it has to be pointed out. Rainn Wilson claims this to not be a joke. However, Rainn Wilson's handle on Twitter is still Rainn Wilson, his full name given is Rainn Percival Dietrich Wilson, and legally, he has not changed his name at all. It is, at best, akin to that of Count Dankula changing his name on a near regular basis, which has now led him to suffering a consequence where his name is still Giant Penis. Blue checkmark. You brought that on yourself, Dankula. You brought it on yourself. Now back to Rainn Wilson, and to finish with Rainn Wilson. He has said, "I'm hoping this name change brings attention to this growing melting issue. We need world leaders at COP27 to take notice and take action. The Arctic is melting at millions of liters per second, yet this problem can't seem to make a name for itself, so it's up to us to make a name for it." During that video, he reeled off a list of celebrity names with play on words like Amy Poehler, Bear, Harrison, why not try Electric, Ford. Get it? It's catchy and clever. I just want to be that guy before we continue with another subject. With the Arctic melting at millions of liters per second, it is unlikely we will be able to stop it from melting away entirely. Of course, I would rather it didn't at all like everyone else. How we impact meaningful change, I'm still not convinced it can be achieved by trusting politicians, many of whom that were there, do not believe in climate change and only believe in their nation's own personal interests. Winnie the Pooh is a perfect example of it. Now it's time for an honourable mention, and this time it comes from Madonna. You see, more recently you've seen her on this channel because she looks like an alien, somebody who is in her mid-60s trying to look like somebody in their mid-20s. And there's nothing wrong with a material girl wanting to enjoy her life, certainly in her twilight years. It's just amusing because of how ridiculous she looks. And I don't like to poke fun at how people look. I really don't. But when someone says act your age, and then you point at Madonna, the question really is, why couldn't you have just gone bald and buy yourself a convertible like most middle-aged men? Well, Madonna, while posting more pictures of her looking like an alien and trying to get yeeted off Instagram by posting her nipples all over the place, and also talking about molds made out of her vagina, Madonna has made a heartbreaking plea because she is, well, trying to enjoy her life, and this bullying is unfair and unacceptable. So on her Instagram stories, it simply says, "Stop bullying Madonna for enjoying her life." I don't think it's a case of bullying you for enjoying your life. You're enjoying your life. Others, as is the case for humanity, are judging you for the decisions you make. You know, much like yourself, when you recently said that you regretted not much, just both of your marriages. That same kind of judgy mentality. You didn't think people would seriously just look at your pictures and go, "Oh wow, you go girl. You rock that otherworld appearance, with those veiny arms and bottom that looks slightly more plump than it should be." Don't recall you ever having a derriere like that when you were younger. Interesting. To the final subject, I want to talk about United Kingdom universities. 4 out of 10 are in the top 10 in the world. although 2 of them are technically London, one being Oxford and the other Cambridge. Universities have been told by the Quality Assurance Agency that they need to go woke and decolonize their courses. The Quality Assurance Agency checks on course standards, and it has in its recommendations incorporated critical race theory into its recommendations. It then wants a wide range of courses, including science, all of them, to include white supremacy, or colonialism, as it's more commonly known in the academic field. It is expected that many tutors will take on board the advice, although, technically, any and all compliance is voluntary. The thing here is, when you go to university, you're not there to be taught, you are there to be lectured, and then you do the work. You don't have lectures 9 to 5, you have lectures scattered out across the day depending on the modules you choose, and then you spend the rest of that day and the rest of your night either drinking or studying. This isn't rocket science. So if one decides to include subjects of, let's see here, racism, classism, ableism, homophobia, and the patriarchy, understandably, people are going to be a bit, critical of it. Now, it has been noticed that many universities in the United Kingdom have started to go woke anyway. Not even a joke, because activists, let's call them that, they're not students, they're just there to, go rabble, have been very vocal on this. Critics of this believe that it is anti-white and anti-Western, and have accused the QAA of going woke. The benchmarks for this include new instructions on equality, diversity, and inclusion for every subject. I'm just laughing at the idea that if you go to a computing science lab and you start writing in binary, someone's going to say, yeah, but what about non-binary? Yes, I had to make that joke. Don't thank me. A critic, you may well know who this is, Nigel Farage on GB News, has said that this entire idea is pure Marxist theory designed to break down our entire societal structure. I don't think it's that. I think it's they can't find anything else to latch on to complain about, so they've decided they're going to absolutely annihilate academia and make it worthless because, over the years, what many people have been protesting lacked academic credentials. Well, if they infest it and infect it enough, they can then say, but the science is on our side now. It's really not. You're just pushing those that want to be a scientist out of the way to push your own agenda. Many people who involve themselves in the scientific fields do not care for what is arguably some of the most pedantic, asinine drivel ever to be contrived by people who are intellectually stunted. And you really are intellectually stunted. It amuses me to see groups like Just Stop Oil. They actually have some scientific backing with points they want to make. But most of those that are seen in the news are academic dropouts. They all saying that it was because the planet is more important than their future, because they don't have a future, but they had a chance at a future and they could have done both at the same time. It just tells me you lack the mind to be able to multitask or be able to commit to 2 things. I have a strange feeling all of you are going to be crazy cat people when you're older. Spoken by somebody with a cat on his desk trying to stop him from using the control key on his keyboard. Let me give you some examples, by the way. Economics should be taught that it is still predominantly a white, male, and Western field. That means literally nothing. Go figure they go for something that in the long run they can make decent money doing. Language courses are told to encourage students to reflect on historical and contemporary forms of injustice and inequality related to imperialism, colonialism, class, or gender divisions. I don't care about any of that. I did science, remember. Chris McGovern of the Campaign for Real Education said that it's alarming campuses are being ordered to go woke. This QAA enforcement of anti-white, anti-Western racial hatred and division is iniquitous. It will undermine racial integration in our country and breed either resentment or self-loathing. The QAA should be promoting enlightenment and knowledge, not prejudice and ignorance. 100% agree. We've seen with men, lots of them are not going to university anymore because they want vocational qualifications. They want practical ones they can use in the workforce because they want to get out there, get a job, and make some money. We like money. Smash the like, give me your money on Patreon, buy my merch, and donate through coffee. Ta-ta, everyone.